The unexpected just happened again, and this is coming shortly after activist and lawyer Dele Farotimi went on Chinese TV and made a statement so powerful that it completely destabilized Tinubu's camp. So what exactly did he say, and why is he now under fire? Stay with me because this is getting interesting. I have the video for you and I'm going to play it in just a moment. But first, let me ask you something. Are you aware that the US military has already submitted plans to Donald Trump? See, not just plans to maybe do something, but plans on where to strike in Nigeria, how to do it and when they are going to do it. Because at first, we all thought these people were joking. Like, come on, Trump threatening Nigeria, the giant of Africa. That's just talk, right? But with the way things are going now, we are not so sure anymore. Because how can you say you want to strike another country without that country's permission? That's not how international law works. And before you think this is fake news or just social media talk, let me tell you who reported this story. Premium Times, one of Nigeria's most respected newspapers, and the New York Times, the biggest newspaper in the world. So, this is not some random blog trying to get clicks. This is real, reporting from credible sources. I'm not here to spread rumors. I'm here to keep you informed with facts. So, if you appreciate honest, trendy updates like this, where I don't take sides, I just give you the information. Please hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any updates, because these things are moving fast and you need to stay informed. Now, amidst all of this, there's another story spreading around. People are saying that Donald Trump has sanctioned President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Fulani herdsmen, and something called Mayeti. So I went and checked because I don't just want to report what I hear, I verify. And here's what I found. There is no public record of US sanctions specifically targeting Mayeti or Fulani as a group. Now, the US has sanctioned individuals in Nigeria before for violence and human rights abuses, and that's true. And some of those individuals may have been Fulani or government officials. But a blanket sanction on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, all Fulani people and some group called Mayati, that hasn't been officially announced. So be careful with the information you are sharing. Not everything you see on WhatsApp or Twitter is accurate. Please do well to verify. Now back to what Dele Farotimi said, because this is the part that has everyone talking. You know how Nigerians are saying now, the fear of Donald Trump is the beginning of wisdom. Well, Dele Farotimi took it even further. He said, and I quote, "It takes a bully like Trump to get our leaders to do what's right." Now, this statement came after Trump vowed to stop the killings of Christians in Nigeria and even ordered his military to prepare for potential action. Let me play the clip for you so you can hear it yourself.
I didn't hear a threat. I heard a responsible leader calling irresponsible rulers to do their job. The threat came only after a failure might have occurred. As irresponsible as I might have found that threat, the reality is that he was calling out the crass irresponsibility and complicity of the Nigerian government and rulers. So I didn't hear, primarily what I heard was somebody speaking up that might perhaps unblock the blocked ears of the rulers of Nigeria.
Did you take issue at all with the rhetoric, calling us a disgraced, that now disgraced country and things like that?
Has he lied? Once upon a time, I used to enjoy my trips around the west coast of Africa. I'll go to Gambia, Ghana, and I used to enjoy the welcome until about 5-7 years ago. I saw increasing hostility because of the disappointment that Nigeria has proven itself to be in the Committee of Nations. So it doesn't require Trump to inform me of the fact that Nigeria has been serially disgraced all over the world on multiple occasions, largely because of the kind of irresponsible rulers that we have been cursed with. So I don't need Trump to tell me about the disgrace that has befallen my country. He hasn't lied. I look at the truth, not the person speaking the truth. When it's the truth, you just have to accept it for what it is. What is it about us that has been graceful or that has inspired pride?
So somewhere in your mind, you think Donald Trump is altruistic, the savior of Christians in Nigeria?
Look, Kayla, Yorubas have this proverb that the child that does not listen to admonitions at home would be taught outside. There is nothing Trump said or alleged that is not substantially true. The fact that the Nigerian government has ignored the reality of a genocide is not in doubt. The fact that the Nigerian government has been complicit in that genocide is equally beyond argument. These are things that most of us have been saying, including me, in books, in speeches. We've been saying this for over 10 years. So it doesn't require Trump to speak to the truth of what is happening. It is because it is Trump that has spoken that all this brouhaha is happening. What has Trump said that hasn't been said by multiple Nigerians within Nigeria?
The issue is for many who are listening to Donald Trump say these things and, the words that he used, guns are blazing. Yes, in many ways, it could be that we've forgotten what the message is and focused on the messenger and how the messenger made that message. However, an intervention or an invasion, is that something that you would welcome?
See, Trump did not threaten an invasion. Don't let's kid ourselves. There are multiple evidence of Nigeria going around cap in hand. We've become essentially in the hands of our rulers a beggar nation. The same country that went to stabilize Sierra Leone, stabilized Liberia, is the same one that cannot fight a ragtag army of Fulani extremists and Islamist jihadists simply because persons within his government and his military have compromised his territorial integrity and discounted the safety of his citizens. That is why it has taken a Trump to be breathing the riot act and be telling us that if we won't do it, he will come do it. Let's focus on the fact that we have these problems. Let's leave the fact that we don't like the language of Donald Trump. Let's forget all these attempts at beating up nationalistic fervors. It makes no difference to the dying man in the Benue Trough and in the plateau who comes to save him. You have reported cases such as Yelawata, where you have a military forward operating base less than a kilometer from Yelawata. Instead of engaging with those who killed over 200 Nigerians, they were busy shooting in the air. And then you want that person to bicker about whether it's Americans who came to save him. It is a function of the serial failure of the Nigerian state that we're even having this kind of conversation in the first place. But I am not interested in the nationalistic propaganda that has been coming out in response to Donald Trump's incendiary language. If we will tidy up our homes, if we will do the right thing, a Donald Trump rant will count for nothing. At the end of the day, Nigeria is not Somalia. It's not some small homogeneous community where you can come. There are more nuances to our issues than the black and white that Donald Trump would like to paint it. But the reality is that the irresponsibility of the Nigerian government is what has led to a situation. Our situation might be likened to that of an irresponsible father who has allowed his home to fall into disrepair, his children left them to serial abuse, and then a neighbor who happens to be more responsible, however garrulous you might call him, however much you might deprecate his method, he recognizes the humanity of the children that the father has left irresponsibly to be slaughtered. The man went to Benue. Almost a week after the massacre, he couldn't even be bothered to go to Yelawata. What did he say? Oh, the road was bad. But he could have a party in Makurdi. Please, if that is what it takes, if it will take a madman to speak to our irresponsible rulers, so be it. Or has he lied? And he hasn't threatened the invasion. He said, go and do it or I'll do it. Why can't they focus on doing it instead of focusing on I will do it if you don't do it? He was irresponsible for the American to talk about gun blazing. But how many times have we gone to ask them to come and help us? And then they can see that we are irresponsible and complicit in the mess we are asking help for. Please, I'm not focusing on Trump's language. I'm focusing on the failure of our own government and the serial failure of the Nigerians.
So let's talk about that failure. Do you think there's a Christian genocide in Nigeria?
Let me put it this way. Religion is a matter of identity in northern Nigeria. A lot of Nigerians are completely ignorant about the history of religion in northern Nigeria. So if it quacks like a duck, walk like a duck, we should surely be able to call it a duck. That is what has been happening all this while. And these communities have been screaming and screeching all this while. And the reality is that we are all lying to ourselves if we do not admit to the fact that Christians are targeted, particularly in the Middle Belt and in northern Nigeria. Deborah Joseph is not an animist. An entire community found the grace to be silent when a young woman was murdered and burnt within the confines of a higher institution. What has happened? When those persons were charged to court, how many people came out to offer free legal services to them? What has happened to them? Where is the accountability? Where is the accountability? And then they speak to a genocide and we want to quibble about it. Let's leave the name they want to call it. These are human beings that are dying. What about Mr. Jackson? A man was attacked on his own farm. He struggled and managed to free himself. The attacker still pursued him. He killed his attacker with the attacker's knife. Our Supreme Court deemed that a murder. You have a system that discriminates deliberately, and then we are still quibbling. Let's leave the terminologies and all of that and focus on the facts. Whether the person is Muslim or Christian, Fulani, Ijaw, Yoruba, Lantan, it does not matter whether he's Atia. The important thing is that this person is not only human, he's a Nigerian within the Nigerian space, and the Nigerian state has serially failed him.
The fact that this has been going on for so many years, does that point to some kind of collusion with the Nigerian government, or are we just talking about irresponsible leadership here?
Let's be clear about something. When the facts are not in dispute, we shouldn't argue that again. We all are equally aware of the fact that the Emirates convicted persons for funding terrorism in Nigeria and shared their intelligence with the Nigerian government. Nothing has ever happened to them. Nnamdi Kanu is holed up in a jail cell today, in a DSS cell. But Bello Turji is busy strolling around, issuing ultimatums. They are going around, sometimes in convoys as strong as 500, and Nigerian government is negotiating peace. Look, the narratives we have created is one that denies the truth. But the truth continues to slap us in the face on a daily basis if we care to look. Reality is, whether we call it genocide, whether we call it irresponsibility, whether we call it complicity, the reality is that what is happening in Nigeria is intolerable. That somebody somewhere found the grace to get involved to the point where they are telling us, go fix it or we'll come fix it. It speaks to the height of irresponsibility that has come to characterize Nigeria, its governance, and everything connected to it. But it does not shift the truth, and it does not change the fact. There are people dying in droves, and the government, for whatever reason, the same Nigeria that could once enforce peace in faraway land is no longer able to enforce peace in his own country. It was Abacha that said, when insurrection, insurgency, insecurity last longer than 24 hours, government is involved. Let them ask themselves what has happened to us.
Some have said that calling the insecurity in Nigeria or defining our insecurity based on religious lines would be a little simplistic. I got an analogy recently where someone said our insecurity in Nigeria is like soup. There are too many ingredients inside of it. It's even gotten to a point where you can't exactly separate the ingredients. There might be some genocide going on in there. There's land grabbing going on. There's banditry. There's kidnapping. There's a business going on in here. So a lot of things have led to where we are, which in many ways is why the Nigerian government is saying, listen, President Trump, we hear you, but what you're saying is based on wrong intelligence. There's more to it than you think. What do you make of that?
And there really is very little that is unique about our situation. What is unique is that for the first time, somebody has spoken and our government is listening. So what I was saying in essence is very simple. Don't come into Nigeria gun blazing. But there are sufficient body of laws within the international community that should serve as sufficient to deal with the situation he was describing. If you say there is a genocide, you have more than enough to work with. And I can't recall a single place that America has gone gun blazing that has had a happy ending. So I wasn't looking for anything gun blazing. But the fact that they are complicit persons is beyond argument. Beyond argument. And so if America is really, really that keen on helping us, I would imagine that those are the kind of help that they can extend to us that wouldn't even create any mess of, there will be no need to come down. That Donald Trump is a bully is a fact that shouldn't be in any dispute. But as bullies go, he's my favorite bully in the wide world right now because there are many more bullies in Nigeria than Donald Trump, whose bullying affects my life directly. When people bully me into accepting the fact that they are building a kilometer at 22 billion, and I have nothing to say about it, I can't even bleed. Those are bullies. When people bully me and slaughter unknown number of people at the toll gate, those are the bullies that concern me. The bullies that went to Yelawata and murdered over 200 Nigerians, I'm worried about those kind of bullies. Donald Trump is a bully that is very distant and is bullying and everything has minimal effect on my life. And in recent time, the fact that he's bullying the Nigerian winning class and scaring the bejesus out of them makes me very, very happy. The fact that somebody in the Benue, someone on the Plateau, is going to sleep better tonight simply because Donald Trump has held the feet of the irresponsible rulers of Nigeria to the fire. I am so happy. He's my favorite bully in the wide world. And I'm loving that bully right now. But I don't want him to come to my country gun blazing. But he's a bully that I'm loving. All of a sudden, the security agencies in Nigeria appear to have woken up. I love that bully. I don't love his language, but I can't argue against the truth of what he has said. And if that is why, yeah, I'm sure the people of Nicaragua and multiple countries, hypocrisy is the fuel of international diplomacy. That is why one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. I am not going to be concerned about the fire next door, or rather, did I say next door, in the next town, when my own roof is on fire. Fact of the matter is this: let us deal with the reality that has been painted for us. Some of us have held up mirrors for a while, showing Nigeria the fact of its ugly nudity, but it refused to change. We spoke until we've been horrors. We even spoke until we landed ourselves in prison. But now, somebody from outside is the one telling them the truth is not devalued in the mouth of a liar. The question is, has Donald Trump lied about the killings? Maybe you don't like the fact that he has called it a genocide, which is a very political word to use, especially when they have all these crevices to hide behind and everything. But it doesn't change the fact that unacceptable casualties have been taken within the boundary of a country that proclaims itself to be at peace, whose rulers gallivant all over the place as though people are being buried in mass graves. And we are still quibbling over what name Donald Trump is calling it. He's calling it. There was one imam a few years ago who was honored for hiding, God knows, countless number of Christians
in his mosque in Plateau.
Who are the people hunting those Christians? The only thing that qualified them for death was their faith, and their faith is linked to their ethnicity.
Thanks for staying connected. Well, Dele Farotimi's point was not an endorsement of Trump. In fact, the majority of Nigerians are not okay with the idea of US military intervention in Nigeria. What Dele Farotimi was doing was criticizing the Nigerian government. It was saying, look at how our leaders operate. For years, Nigerians have been talking about these killings, farmer elders clashes, attacks on communities, Christians being targeted, Muslims. We have been crying out, begging for help, demanding that something be done. And what did our government do? Very little, or in some cases, nothing at all. But the moment Donald Trump, a foreign president, threatens to intervene, suddenly our government wakes up. Suddenly, they want to act. That is what Dele Farotimi is criticizing. He's saying it is sad that it takes external pressure from someone as loud and forceful as Trump to make our leaders pay attention to our suffering. The truth about these killings is not aiding, sincerely speaking. Nigerians know what is happening. We have been living in it for years, but our government always seems to sit up when there is international embarrassment. So yes, Trump calling it genocide is controversial. Yes, threatening military action raises questions about sovereignty. But Dele Farotimi's point is this: if that's what it takes for our leaders to finally do their job, then that says everything about the state of leadership in Nigeria. So what happens now? The big question is what happens next, because we are at a crossroad here. Some Nigerians are saying President Tinubu should work with Trump, find a way to collaborate, use this moment to actually solve the security problem. In fact, Vanguard Newspaper reported that Tinubu should see this as an opportunity. But others are saying absolutely not. We don't need foreign troops on Nigerian soil. We can handle our problems. So here's what I want to ask you. If you were President Bola Ahmed Tinubu right now, what would you do? Would you accept help from the US? Would you reject it and double down on Nigerian solutions? Or would you try to find some middle ground? I genuinely want to know what you think, so drop your answer in the comment sections. Let's have a real conversation about this. If you appreciate honest breakdowns like this, where I just give you the facts and let you decide, please hit that like button right now, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share this video. Share it on your WhatsApp status, post it in your Facebook groups, tweet it. Let's get everyone informed, because the more people who understand what is really happening, the better. Oh, and by the way, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike also made a shocking statement about who is behind this whole Trump coming to Nigerian situation. And trust me, you don't want to miss that video. I will link it at the end of this video. Make sure you watch it next. Alright, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay critical, and let's keep holding our leaders accountable. I will see you in the next one. Peace.